to be episode 32. We're going to be installing the front bumper on our Malibu LT. So this is really the last piece that we got to do. Before we start off, I see you down there, Jay. Thank you for chiming in right away. That's awesome. I'm going to adjust my chats for you guys. All right, I got that done. All right. Well, we should be good to rock and roll. Sorry yesterday for the mishap with the stream. We had a bunch of things go down. It wasn't too good, but I got the connection refixed. We got everything going for today, so we're good to go today. Before we start off, I do want to say Happy Memorial Day, and I do want to start off by saying that in this whole stream today, we're going to leave a hat on the hood for the ones that we have lost. So just as in remembrance of this day for the soldiers who have paid the ultimate price, this is my way of kind of showing you guys that it's important for us to remember this. So, all right, so now that we're here, I'm going to make sure that I've got some stuff set up over here. Yeah, I had some bad Wi-Fi connection yesterday morning also. Yeah, it was weird. I tried doing a new software. The software failed, and it crashed my internet. So I wound up having to reboot everything. When I went to try to get the stream going, the stream crashed. It was an absolute disaster. So I just scrapped yesterday. I spent that time with the family, and I'm here today. And today we're going to go ahead and get this bumper wrapped up. And part of that goal is I'm going to lay out what we've got on the table so you guys understand what's going on. I'm going to show you some other stuff I've got on the side. Then we're going to go ahead and set this bumper into place. Once we start setting it into place, the bolts are going to come rather quickly. Jay said, grab my phone to connect with my mom's phone so that, and then I connected my tablet and then got connection. Wow, that's a lot of steps to go through. So, guys, let's start off with the announcements. Thank you guys today for tuning in to this live episode where we're going to install the bumper on our Malibu finally. This thing took a deer hit, destroyed the front bumper. We've done a bunch of mechanical work. I can tell you guys right now, our next project is already sitting outside. And I'll give you a hint to what it is, but I'm not going to show you the emblem that hides behind this until the end of the video. And yeah, this one's going to be a big project. This one, it's somewhat expensive because of what the vehicle is. It shouldn't be this expensive, but it's a supercharged engine, which means we have more parts to contend with. And this is going to be something that we do need to focus on for the future whenever we're doing engine repairs and we decide to go back into it. So when this happens, we do have to kind of take that step back and go, what other things do we need to do while we're in there? This is something I've ran many shops up on already. I hate it when they go in and they fix something under warranty. They'll only touch what's under warranty and they don't even bother to call the owner. Prime example is, if you decide to have a transmission rebuilt and it's under warranty, they pull the transmission out. If the rear main seal is leaking, they don't say anything. They only fix what's under the warranty, which is the transmission, not a seal. A lot of shops are not calling the owners and saying, hey, you do have a bad rear main seal. We could fix that for $100, $200, $300 right now, or we could put the transmission back in and you're going to have that additional cost later on, which is going to be even more because we have to pull the transmission down. This is what I talk about when I talk about shady repair shops. Shady repair shops won't foresee the problems that are coming and won't notify the customers to make sure that the customers can make a well-founded, educated decision. This is why I have such a problem with modern repair shops. Chief, good to have you in here. What's up? Yeah, yesterday was just a complete disaster on stream. I tried everything I could to get it fixed, and so we're going to do it today. We're going to start off. I'm going to show you guys the bumper. I'm going to show you guys all the hardware. I've got everything laid out perfect. When you guys do a project like this, this is the best way to do it. Lay out all your hardware, lay out all your pieces and everything that you're going to use to make sure that the bumper goes on smoothly. The last thing we want to be doing is chasing for fasteners. I didn't show you guys in the last video how to secure some of the clips, so I'm going to show you guys that quick here in just a little bit. And I'm also going to show you, yes, Chief, preparation is the key. And I'll show you guys how even laying the bolts out where they need to be makes this whole process go so much quicker. Let me flip you around on the camera and we're going to get started with this. All right, so here's our bumper, fully assembled, guys. Everything's on this bumper. So this can be slid into place. Let's start with the first thing, these clips. So this is where the wheel liner is going to go. You'll have these little clips that press into place, and there's a little tab that's bent down. So when you slide them in, they click into place. On this one, we have 3 down the side, and then we have some along the front. And this will hold the passenger side wheel liner. This is the front splash shield, and this has hardware that's all designed to be laid in. It also has these clips that go in here to the frame and snap into place. And then we will have this additional piece here, which I'll cover in just a little bit. But these clips go along to the other side as well. One more thing I want to cover before we go sliding the bumper in. Make sure you guys trim off all slag that's on the bumper. Make sure that every surface is what it needs to be before you slide this in. This is important on sort of fit bumpers. And that's exactly what this is. It's a sort of fit bumper. It's not a perfect direct fit. So we may wrestle this bumper into place. That's why you guys are here. You guys will see me do it. Again, this is not a GM direct bumper, meaning that I don't expect this to go perfectly. Next is this piece here. We have 3 pop clips. There, there, and there. And then 2 frame screws, one here and one here. This holds an air dam on. This is important for fuel mileage. All right. Chief says I am about to replace my bumper and left fender, so this helps. Good. I'm glad that this provides context on how to lay these fasteners out, how to organize this stuff, because that's really what this is about. The better organization you have with body panels, the better it is. When the body panels aren't laid out perfectly and the fasteners are all over the place, you're going to chase these parts. You don't want to chase these, because once you start chasing like all the fasteners, you'll have a hard time getting it put back together the right way. And some are universal and some change. How do I measure the fasteners? Okay, so what you do is you have to know what you've taken off of the car already. So when you take them off the vehicle, make sure you keep what you have in the order that you took them off. What some people will do is they'll take a piece of cardboard, they'll poke holes in it in the shape of a fender or a bumper or a hood, and they'll push those down into the cardboard. That will keep your fasteners so that you don't have to worry about which one goes where. We do have that slight problem on this bumper. And the reason I think we have that problem on this bumper is this is a sort of fit bumper. There's one bolt that I don't like the position of it and where it's located. Unfortunately, I may have to try to force it into that spot. Don't want to do that, but that's maybe what we got to do. Yeah, if you guys are replacing a bumper or a fender, this is a good video for you guys, because it'll show you guys how we've laid out all these fasteners. When this thing goes up on and we start putting stuff together, it's really just going to kind of flow together real well. So here is what we have for the side. So 3 bolts, which are there, there, and there. We have this one here. that goes up underneath and goes through here. This pinches this to the inside of this fender right here. That's what holds all of this stuff together, is that one bolt. So there's our front splash shield on our driver's side. That's our front wheel liner. That's our right side wheel liner. All of our plastic has been put back into place. We have all of our shielding into place. Everything's right where we need it. Again, if you guys missed it in the beginning, we're leaving a hat on the car today in remembrance of all of those who have paid the ultimate price for our freedoms and have served our country. So this is in remembrance of them. All right, over here, guys, this one is the shield that goes right here. So that shield covers all of this from the bumper to here so that it's more of a smooth transition. It cuts off any airflow through here, blocks that off. And I've laid out all my hardware that I'll need, just like I said. We have some push clips. We have some bolts. We have one weird bolt, but all the rest of them are the same. Now, the ones that I'm questioning are these two and this one and this one. Those two are supposed to go through here, not over here. This is what we're going to have to look at as far as what we're going to do with those bolts. If it gets to be where I'm forcing it, then I don't have a choice. I'll have to switch them, and those will go over here. Those will go over there. So that's what I'll have to do with that. All right. Yes, guys, thanks for the American flags down in the chat today. That's really important. So when you're getting ready to install, what's really left to do? As long as you've cleaned up everything, you've removed anything that's broken, you've gotten all the pieces out, you've cleaned up what's behind, and you make sure everything is good, the next is setting the bumper onto the car. You want to do this in a way that's not going to scratch the car, so it's best to grab with the center of the bumper against your stomach and hold it from the outside. And you're going to want to work it onto the front, clip your front corner down here, and then let the bottom kind of hang until you can come around to the side and clip the side in. Now, this one should snap in here and here. Once those are snapped in, then it's just a matter of putting on bolts and hardware. Pretty basic. Oh, thank you guys for being in the chat today. Even if it's a slower chat day, I really do like talking to you guys, especially my mods. It's always good to see my mods in here. So Jay and Chief, it's good to have you guys in today. So hopefully chat will pick up a little bit later. Awesome, awesome American flags in the chat. I love that today. That's awesome. All right, so I'm trying to get you guys back far enough so that you guys can see what's going on. Again, trying to stream from the mobile is a pain. I did talk to somebody at Google today. Unfortunately, most of my viewers watch via cell phone, so I have to stream via this platform. So I'm going to work on a few other things in the background, hopefully bring you guys some better content for the future, but I'm going to avoid trying to go live with anything until I've really perfected it. So just so you guys know, I'm going to stick to this platform. If the sound gets a little bad, mods, let me know so I can adjust where I stand. Because the closer I stand, the better it sounds. I'm grilling burgers and hot dogs and watching a car mechanic. Good life. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. All right. All right, guys, here we go. Let's do this without scratching up the car. So I'm going low, sliding in. Got one side set in. Got one more to go here. Okay, what we're trying to do is get the center pressed in first. Then we can wrestle the outside once the center is in. Okay, so I gotta look underneath. Something underneath is holding up the bumper. I'm gonna guess it's part of our air dam. So let me get you guys down a little bit farther so you guys can see what's going on. I'm actually gonna switch it to this camera here. So what's holding us up is right underneath here. We need to clear this stuff out of the way so that our bumper goes on. All right, so I've moved all of that out of the way. Next, we want to get these corners in. This is where the hardest part is going to come into place here, is in these corners. Again, the question is the sort of fit bumpers. That's where we run into these problems. So some of these sort of fits may not be molded as well as the factories. Okay, so that's one side right there. That's how it's done. As you guys line this up, you start tapping it into place. We do have this set screw to push in, so when we push this in and put that in, we're going to push it so that this is level and flat before we tighten it. But it needs to have a clear, smooth edge around the headlight. We also want to check this edge here, that this edge is down and as flush as it can. Now remember, it's not going to be perfect because this is not OEM. Nothing on here is OEM. So we are going to have a little bit of fitment issues, and we are going to have to wrestle it a bit. 2 more hands would be cool. Yeah, you have no idea how much I would love a second set of hands right now on this project. It would have made setting this down so much easier. Okay, I was trying to get this to snap down a little bit more, but all I did was wind up cutting up my hand a little bit, so that is what it is. Now we're going to work on this side. So you guys are seeing me use my hip and my leg to kind of push this bumper into place so I can wiggle this up. Okay, I'll move you guys over a little bit more. You guys can see this a little clearer. Okay, this side is being an absolute nightmare. And I kind of figured it would for how hard the other side clipped in. I'm going to grab a screwdriver. So we got to be very careful with this process because I'm going to use a screwdriver to come in right there and help that tip get in there. Try taking off the headlights first. Here's one thing about this car. If you take the headlights off, you have to take the bumper off to take the headlights off. So taking the headlights out really won't help because you'd have to take the bumper apart to get at it. These Malibus are a really bad design this way. If you are to change a headlight, you literally have to take this bumper apart to do it. What you guys are seeing is the fact that I have a sort of fit bumper. That's where the problem is. Okay, so I used a screwdriver. I went in there lightly. And I just bent the tip up so that I could get it to snap in. All right, so that was a bit of a bear. So let me explain exactly what happened there. All right, so what happened was, this is why I said sort of fit parts aren't necessarily the best. If you can get OEM, OEM is the best way to go, because OEM will fit like OEM designed. Anybody that wants to change the headlights in this car is going to have to fight that bumper. And bumper is a pain, because when they molded it, they kind of used a mold, but it may not have been the perfect dimensions. There are some spots that I notice there's some problems. Some of those spots are still going to give us problems yet as we assemble this. I see there's 4 of you guys in here. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. I know I got 2 of my mods in here. If you guys got questions, get those in down below, and my mods will be happy to help you guys out with that. I do have my laptop set up, guys, so I'm able to come in and see real-time chats as well, and also reply. I'll be setting it up a little bit differently when we get into the news section so that I can go through news with you guys. So we will be doing that here at the end of the video. But the good news is the majority of that bumper is already installed. That's the hard part. The hard part is getting it to fit into place. Once it's into place, it's a matter of putting all the hardware in. So as we put the hardware in, you guys will see how we're going to go about this. So I'm just looking here on my info. All right. Caught my hand really good on that one, guys. All right. Bring you guys back closer to the Wi-Fi and closer to the project here. So now that the bumper is in place, where I would like to start with this bumper is I'm going to start from the side. I want to put that fit screw in on both sides, get that tightened. I'll probably come down the wheel liner and across the front, and we'll put all that hardware in first. Once that hardware is in on both sides, then we can focus on fixing the center before we go underneath. But this is the look of the bumper. Guys, this bumper was bought online. And you can see that the paint match is really close. They did a really good job matching the paint code. So that part of it is really, really good. But let's get started with the main part here that I want to go with, which is getting these corners fixed and getting the skirting on. So I will cover all the tools that we're going to use here in just a bit. Check chats before I cover tools here. Yeah, the match was really, really good. I was surprised at how nice the match actually came out. Now in the sun, it might not be perfect between here and here, out in the sun. And some of that is just how it was painted from factory versus painted in a paint shop. It'll be a little different. But for what this car is, I am not upset about this fit at all. So we'll start with the 10mm bolt that holds the fender into place. This will be this lower corner here, and we'll want to pull that corner in so it matches as we tighten. We're going to use quarter drive ratchets or press-in clips. That's the best way to do this. So I'm going to start with that, and then it'll be 7mm for down the liner on the wheel liner. So this will cover the inside lip of the wheel liner. If I can't reach it, I can always go in and turn the wheel and give myself some access. Chief asks, whose car is that? Is it a flip? No, Chief, this is not a flip. This is an actual car on our channel, meaning any car that I say that's on the channel is a car that I own. So this is one that I have. This used to be my fuel economy car going back and forth to my other job. But since I've got a job where I work a little closer to home now, I really don't need the fuel economy car. And I may be choosing to upgrade this in the future. So there's been talks. There's been talks about a lineup change. I think I hinted to it a couple weeks ago. But there may or may not be, I don't want to say a complete change, but there is going to be a change in the lineup probably within the next year. Okay, so now that this one's nice and tight, what it does is locks this in. So this is locked in, this is not going anywhere. Now when we put the ones through here, what this will do is tighten up the wheel liner to here. That holds this whole corner together. As we come down around the front and secure the bottom front, it's just adding more securement to this bumper, meaning that it'll be more fixed to the vehicle. After the deer hit, the wheel liner was broken. The underneath plastic below the radiator was broken. So there really wasn't much securement on this side of the bumper other than through the headlight and this one bolt. That's all that really provided any securement after the deer hit. So some of the hardware, I actually had to find it and buy new hardware. Check chat before I go down that fender liner. Chief, I need ramps like that. You can get them at pretty much any auto parts store. Amazon actually has a set that's longer for guys with lower sports cars so that they can drive it up on ramps. But yeah, I think I got these at either O'Reilly's or maybe Advanced. Or, no, it might have been AutoZone actually. But any of those auto parts stores will have that. So what I'm doing is just securing these 3 bolts because I do have to push and pull the fender around a little bit to get it. I can't use my deep socket, so I'm going to get my shallow 7mm. Yep, everybody, if you got questions, fire them away. The mods are there. They'll catch your chat and make sure that I get it read. Yeah, it's really looking good, guys. I like the fit and finish so far. It's looking very clean. Very much factory look without sacrificing the pocketbook. Factory parts would have costed me a lot more. This car was over a $4,000 repair had I just had the insurance company fix it. But because I decided to fix it myself, I did this repair for less than $1,000, guys. And for all the parts that broke from the deer hit, that was actually a really good deal. Because the wheel liner is really thin on this one, I don't have to crank these bolts down very tight. I want to get them just tight enough that they're secure on the fender so that nothing can pull that fender or break it away or cause it to tear. So that's really all we're going for here. This one is more of the theory of 1,000 needles equals more pain. Basically, the more fixtures that they have in place, the more the bumper is secure. When you start missing half of them, the bumper starts getting floppy, it starts getting loose. So that's why you want to secure all the fasteners that you possibly can. Now this wheel liner is an aftermarket wheel liner, so this one's more smooth and it's not the almost textured plastic that you get from OEM. So this one won't hold on to dirt as much, but then again, this isn't strong plastic. This is like a cheap stamped out piece of plastic that you would get, you know, I don't think this is even more than a few mils thick at most. I'll bring you guys around so you can see it. I realized my dad could have done the same thing with a Camry. Instead, he paid $1,000. Yeah. When it comes down to it, we can fix these cars pretty cheap if we're willing to do some of these aftermarket parts. This is that wheel liner that I talked about. It's more smooth. It's not the OEM plastic, but with that, you don't get perfect fitment. You'll get a little lip here that sticks out, but this isn't really that noticeable. You could fix this by taking the bolts out, putting double-sided tape on this edge, and then pressing it down to push the bolts back in. So that is one thing you could do. I'm choosing not to because it really doesn't matter for me for the fitment of it. It's not going to affect how the car runs and drives. So I'm not super concerned about that. All right, so next we're going to work on this bottom lip. This is going to have some different bolts in it. So here's what we've got. These hold that corner and the front piece here, and then there's a plastic tab right here by my pinky that goes in the center to hold this all together to keep this from flopping down. This is all the hardware that keeps this secure on the bottom. There is another shield that goes in, and we will be dealing with that shield once I get the other side put together. But for now, this is just getting this side of the fender into place. Again, I always like to start by doing the plastic stuff first, bending it around and lightly putting in all connectors and fasteners. I don't like to put everything in tight. Starting it loose, then I know exactly where everything needs to be. And just running everything down tight is kind of the minor at that point. Okay, the reason this one's a pop clip is they use this one to hold everything into place while they fix these other ones. In the future, if this ever falls out, I'll do another video. All I need to do is take these three loose, take these out. I can put a slide clip in there, and I can run another bolt like what I just put in there into this one if it gives us any problems. Now, there is a air deflector shield here. This air deflector is to keep air off of the bottom of the car and make it so that the air goes down away from any suspension components. So make sure you put these back on because these make a difference in fuel mileage. Check the chat before we drop over to the other side. Don't see any more chats. We'll slide over here, guys. Again, hat on the hood today for all those soldiers who have lost their lives. Guys, this is important. We're able to do what we do because of the sacrifices other people have made, and we should be observant of that and make sure we give honor to those who have served and have lost their lives. All right. Here we go. This is going to be the corner that's going to fight me because it's already, this corner looks a little ugly already. Because of the ugliness of the sort of fit bumper. Awesome, awesome. Thank you guys in the chat for those flags. Wheel liner's getting in the way on this one, so I'm going to have to push the wheel liner up till it decides to pop around where that bolt is. Again, this edge doesn't look as clean as the other side. This edge is a little bit dirtier. The fitment isn't as nice. This is all because of the sort of fit bumper. It's how some of these cheaper bumpers are. So I don't necessarily like that portion of it, but I also can't argue that now at this point. I'm kind of too far into the project to say, well, I'll just put a different bumper on the car. So Okay, so we've got this all fit. So there is a little bit of an ugly fit here, guys. The ugly fit is right here. Again, these are these cheap liners. And if it bugs me, I'll just take the bolts out, put some double-sided tape on this, and then just put the bolts back in, and you won't even see this. The nice thing about these is those are going to clean off a lot nicer than the other ones. So next we're going to shift. I'm going to get these bottom ones in that are down here. Then I think we're ready to do the top stuff. Remember, these bottom ones are 8 millimeters. Guys, thanks for tuning in on this Memorial Day on a Monday, which is not a normal stream time for me. So that might have something to do with my streaming kind of being a little slow today. Plus, this is kind of the end of the project too, so I wasn't expecting a lot out of the end of this project, but the next one we've got quite a bit of info dropping on a very expensive car. Alright, so the bottom is done except for 2 more shields that I'll put on last. Possible stream delay. Okay, so if you're getting a stream delay, alright, so let's try this. Are you guys seeing me sit down right now and readjust the camera? Give me 1s if everything's looking smooth right now. 2s if it's not. And if it's not, I'm going to make some adjustments here on my laptop. So, yeah, what could be happening is maybe this is causing a huge delay. 1s if you guys are noticing it, like, can you see 5 fingers if you hit? Give me 1s if you guys see my hand right now. Trying to see how long the delay is. Okay, I'm not seeing a 1, so that means I've got a very, very, very long delay. I'm exiting out of my computer software. Let me check internet connection for you guys. Should be solid on the internet, guys. I'm showing solid connections. All right, give me 2s if the delay has gotten better. I backed out of one of the softwares that I was in. Maybe I was running too much software. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do something else. I might be pulling too much... might be pulling too much wireless internet. Okay, so if you're just seeing it now, there's a huge delay. Okay. Let's give this just a little bit to refresh. What I did was I disconnected the Wi-Fi on my laptop, and it didn't stay disconnected. Let's go here. All right. I connected my laptop to something else. Okay. Again, hand, give me 2. If you guys notice that right away. Give me a 2 when you notice it. I think the delay came from me having too much wireless internet going, because I was using a laptop on it as well. I think the laptop was chewing up all my Wi-Fi. Still waiting for that 2 from Jim. Still the same. Okay. Well, I think I'm going to push through. We're going to finish this project because I got that other car to bring in. If you guys can just keep watching the stream, and I'm not going to worry about chats. I'll check at the end before I do the news. If the leg has gotten better, then we'll do the news. Otherwise, I do need to finish this bumper today. So if you guys can just hang in there with me, just try to keep the engagement up as much as possible. I get it that people are dropping in and out, and there's a lot of lag. I've been dealing with this for a while now, so I'm trying to go to my laptop setup, guys. I've been trying to get this going because the laptop setup ran so much smoother. I was able to stream in 4K. It was so much better, but it just slaughtered my views. So I'm working on something. We'll see if I can get it figured out for next week. That's kind of the plan, is if I can figure it out for next week. But yeah, if you can just hang in here, I'm just going to keep powering through. I'm not going to, I'll explain as I go, but I'm not going to break for questions. If there is questions, my mods will let me know. You might be the only one in here, so we'll just kind of keep powering forward. So the next is to get this bad boy into place. That goes right there. So this is the next piece of this jigsaw puzzle, is we're going to lay this in here and see how it fits. Okay, and there's a little bit of an alignment situation that we will fight, but we'll get it. What I'm going to do is put everything in loose on this piece. So the reason I'm going loose with this is I do have to tug the bumper around a little bit, and I have to tug this shield around a little bit. So again, these are just going in loose by hand. Again, I don't want to go tight with any of this because it doesn't seem to want to fit perfectly. So before I tighten anything down, I'm just going to get everything loose. Okay, so these weird ones that we were talking about, we are going to switch these to the front corners here because I have a feeling that it's designed and its purpose is to push the bumper out to get it away from the hood. I'm going to go with these corner ones next. These were the ones where I thought the fitted bolt goes, but don't think it will. Okay, so if all of my clip spots are lined up, I'm going to go ahead and push all of my clips in now. These are my push clips. So my goal is to line these up and get these push clips pushed into place to hold that down. And then I can come in and I can start tightening down all of these. And these are going to all be 10 millimeters. Okay, so I'm going to start from the front and I'm going to work my way out. I'm going to start by doing the front bumper here. Okay. So what I could do right now, and actually I'm going to show you guys this, before I get too carried away and I tighten this up, I want to check fitment of the hood. Meaning if I need to make an adjustment or pull that out, I can pull it out now before everything is secured. Also, if I've got too big of a gap, I can always loosen it up and adjust it at this point. But it does look really good. What I'm going to do is go ahead and tighten her down. So the deer hit did damage this plastic as well, so I did buy another one, meaning I don't have my OEM sticker. That's for my air conditioner. So what I did was off of the old panel, I cut around the sticker and kept the plastic. The reason I did that is because that sticker tells me how much Freon I need in the system via pounds and ounces. I think it's like 1 pound, 8 ounces. So if you don't keep this sticker with the car, you don't have the information to refill the refrigerant for your air conditioner. Important thing. So guys, if you are working on a car and you ever run into that situation where these panels are damaged, make sure that you guys cut that out and keep that. So now that this is done, we can go ahead and we can finally close our hood and see what this looks like. So here it is. This is hood closed with that plastic panel on. Our gapping is very similar all the way around. Gets a little tight right here, but we're not going to be able to adjust this. This adjustment is done through here, meaning we can't do anything with that adjustment at all. This is locked in. This is from molding, so this is what happens when you buy sort-of-fit parts. Sometimes your gappings aren't right, and you could fix this if you were going to paint it yourself, because you could cut this down or shave this down a bit and get that gap to open up. But the more you cut into these bumpers, the more you're fixing, and the more it just becomes a hassle to chase. So we are looking really, really good, guys. We're getting close. Give me twos if the stream has gotten better, or if you're still lagging behind. You might stay lagging just because of the fact that I was using too much internet, and I would have to reset the stream more than likely. So that might not get better, but I'll try it and see where you guys are at on it. Okay, and I see your test. Let's try it again. Give me a 2. Let me know if that stream is still delayed. There's a slight delay. I see it. Frustrating. Okay, I'm going to keep plowing ahead with this. I do want to finish this video for you guys. 2. Still delayed, but a bit shorter. Okay. All right. We'll deal with the small delay if we have to, just to finish this project today. Because like I said, I got so much more coming for you guys. Just tells me that I can't really have anything streaming in here that isn't my cam. So if I'm doing a video, I gotta keep it to just the video. Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm clipping this shield into place, and I'm sliding it back, and I'm also going to have to get it far enough back that I can get the bolts in it. There's going to be 5 across the front, and this kind of provides the front structure piece to the bumper. So before I put the front 5 of them in, I've got 2 press-in clips. I got to do 1 on each side. Okay, these press-in plastic clips are super loose, and sometime in the future I might change these over to a different style clip, but for today they're going to go in. Alright, so we'll start in the center, and we'll work our way out, because then we can pull the bumper out if we need to. Whew. All right, checking chats here. All right, so we got one more plastic piece to go on underneath, and then this project is officially wrapped up. So this is the last piece of the air dam shield that goes underneath the front bumper. What this is designed to do is keep airflow from getting hooked underneath the car. The reason this is important is it does affect fuel mileage. Okay. I need a little bit bigger push clips. These are falling through. So let me grab some of those. Okay, so when I do these, I usually grab a couple of different styles just to make sure I got everything I need. Kind of saves me from jumping up and getting down. Yeah, so those aren't going to work. Those should. And then I got one for the center. Alright, so none of my hardware is fitting for my plastic push clip, so I'm going to put the screws in first, get these into place so I can stabilize this, and then I'll just grab my drawer of pop clips and I'll get ones that work. I'm also going to need a 7mm, so now that I'm getting up, I'll just grab my container of pop clips and I'll get the right ones that way. Yeah, delay seems to be getting a little bit better. So here's my kit of pop clips. If you guys want to buy these, you can get these at Harbor Freight. And I should easily be able to find what I'm looking for in there to secure this. And I'm going to show you a trick to fix any of these weird gaps that you've got. We're going to fix this so that this air dam is one complete piece. If it's split like it is now, what happens is that split interferes with the airflow. So to fix that, once I get this secured, okay, so I've got ones that work here. These are the 25 by 64 or 10mm size hole. And you do got to press them in kind of hard, but they do go in. You do want them to be somewhat secure. You don't want this piece falling out. Double check these quick. Make sure I got them tight. Okay, so next I want to fix this corner. And I'm going to show you guys how we can fix this corner and secure this up so that it's not causing a problem. Just the way it is now, as the airflow would come through here, it would wind up bending that rubber piece out of the way, and the air would get hooked underneath the suspension. So we do not want that. Okay, we in the business call this speed tape. This stuff works great for securing small areas, especially things made of rubber. And in this case, this is exactly what we're doing, is we're just bridging this rubber gap and making sure that these are connected. Now, what we could do is take a piece of metal and come across here, but that metal is going to rust because as the salt hits this, rain and water hits this, it's going to cause that to flex. Where if we tape it, we don't have to worry about that. And if the tape ever comes off, we can just put a new piece on. I'm also using Gorilla Tape because it's a lot stronger. Ideally, we want to go around it twice so that it bridges the gap a little bit better. Let's see if I can get you guys in here to see this. So right here, this is what we're talking about. If we didn't bridge this gap, the wind would come in here and just push this rubber out of the way, and the wind would hook on our lower A-arm. So to avoid that, we just put that little piece of tape on there, and here's what it looks like without the tape. As you see, the wind would just push this out of the way, and it would hook all along our lower control arm. But with this taped, it can't do that. The air is forced to go down underneath the car to where it's not going to hook on anything. That's what that shield is for. So when those are missing and you notice you might be getting a mile or two less to the gallon, that's your reason why. I'm going to take this side quick. Okay, so now when the wind hits in here, it's going to be forced to go under the car and not just bend these out of the way. And that's what we want. We need them strong enough that they hold up. This is kind of a bad design from OEM to begin with. They could have come up with a much better design, but they didn't. So we're kind of forced to play creative soldier here and fix these. No pun intended today, but yeah. Basically, I'm just double checking to make sure they're secure before I crawl up. If I need to add more, I'll do another layer of tape just to make sure that they're not going anywhere. But usually if you can tap on them with your hand, and there's a little bit of give, but that's all right. I see a spot that I could add a pop clip, and that might stiffen it up a little bit more, so maybe I'll do that before I take it out. If I had a pop clip right here, what this does is stiffens this up. Without it, it just kind of pivots and bends and flexes in the center there, where I could force this to be a little bit more sturdy. I'll do that. I'll do that one later, guys. I seen a spot that I can fix. All right, let's come over here. All right, so I know we're still a bit delayed, guys. Obviously, I was using too much Wi-Fi with my laptop, and it caused a massive delay in my stream. So, again, more things I'm working on for the future, because, yeah. This is another reason why I wanted to get the webcam stuff set up, because the webcam won't have that delay. So, let me look here. Double check all the chats. Just gonna see where everybody's at. All right, give me ones if you guys liked how this thing came together. Twos if you think I could have done something a little different. I'll give you guys a little bit of time to chat that in. That'll give me time to see what kind of delay we're dealing with as well. So, ones if everything made sense. Two if you guys think I could have done something different. Yeah, if you're getting delays, you might have to refresh your stream. Just hit the refresh button and it'll refresh it for you guys. I just did that over here and it seemed to help. So if you guys are having lag, just hit the refresh on it. I refreshed. So Jay, is this your second account or is this, because I just clicked on it. I think this is Jay, correct? Or let me make sure I got the right person here. Yeah, okay. So this is your other account. All right, awesome, Jay. Awesome. Is it better after you refreshed? Yep, Jay, cool. Yeah, is it better after you refreshed? While you're doing that, I'm going to pull up the news. I don't have that one hot tabbed. Must be still lagging a bit. Okay, so I'll get into some of the news here for you, and then we'll go ahead and wrap this up, and then I'll drop the hint of what's coming. So this will be the next project coming in, whatever this key is. I'll show you guys here in just a bit. This project needs all new tensioners and belts, but it's on a car that's very difficult to work on. So we're going to go ahead and attack the problem, and we're going to get it in. We're going to get the new belts put on it and get it back to them. Basically, the belts are not lining up, and it is a supercharged car, so I don't want to have problems with that belt jumping and them blowing up their motor. So I'm going to attack the problem, and we're going to go ahead and fix it. So we'll get into the news here a little bit. The House decided to send a bill to Senate that it would target EVs for taxes. And the reason this tax is happening is because of the fact that they're not using gasoline. So they're not getting the gasoline tax to fix the roads. Meaning that in order to alleviate that cost, they're going to put a tax on EVs that are going to basically be like an annual tax for EV cars. If that goes through, EV owners are going to be dumping their cars in a hurry because that tax is going to be rather expensive. We don't understand how much that tax is when we pay for it when we buy gasoline, but we will feel it once we start actually having to pay it, all of it up front. And that's what this bill would present. How good is the reliability on it? I might be thinking of a Jaguar. It's German engineered. I will leave you with that little piece of info, but it is German engineered, meaning that it is very specific on maintenance. And if you mess up that specific maintenance schedule, you can wreck the car. It is due for an oil change, so we're going to do an oil change service, changing the filter, and we're going to contend with these serpentine belt systems. So once we fix all those, the car should be in a much better shape for the future. But it definitely needs an oil change. They didn't do it. I'll get into all of that part of it once the car is in here and once we start talking about what we're going to do to fix the problems on that car. There's a few more projects coming up on Malibu Steel. We're not done with Malibu Steel by any means. We got rear suspension to do. We've got a license plate light that I need to fix. There's a bunch of small stuff I want to do to it, but Crimson Vortec has a pile of stuff lining up for it. So I got to get Crimson Vortec in and fix an exhaust leak for you guys. I got to consider whether or not I'm going to dive back into that oil leak and see if I can fix that oil leak. And then we got to decide what we're doing with the engine build for Crimson Vortec. If I change the lineup here, the engine build isn't going to matter too much. But we're going to see how that all plays out here. And the House is also considering eliminating the tax credit for EVs. What this would do is put EVs on an even playing field with gasoline vehicles as far as the tax goes, as far as purchasing it, and it'll put them on an even playing field when it comes to the gasoline tax. Meaning that it's no longer going to be any cheaper to own a gasoline versus an EV, except for the fact that you might not have to stop at the gas station as much. That's the only thing it's going to do. The bad thing is that the repair costs on the EV are going to be much higher. It's going to be comparable to a diesel pickup. When a diesel pickup breaks, it costs you thousands of dollars to fix it. And it's going to be the same on the EV side, especially with batteries and motors. Motors running in excess of $12,000, all the way up for batteries running almost $30,000 to almost $40,000 to replace a battery. A lot of cars are getting totaled out if they need batteries. That's a huge thing. Has to be between a newer and older BMW 5 Series. You would be wrong. You're really going to want to know what this is. I might have been giving you too much because I'm kind of telling you what the key shape is here. You're close to the ears. You're more on the upper side. So maybe around the 2 ears from the top there. Yeah, you're like I said, you're in the ballpark for the years, but you got the manufacturer wrong. Tesla owners are making their own emergency door releases because they don't trust that it's not going to lock them out. So a lot of them are going inside and making makeshift wires to pop the doors open if the batteries were to die. This is the kind of stuff we're going to see on older EVs when they start going bad. We're going to see people do a lot of this crazy stuff to be able to get out of the car. And this is all because people are pushing the EV stuff without thinking of the negative side when that battery dies. All right, Jay, enough teasing you here. Can you see that symbol? Once you see that symbol, tell me that you saw it, and then I'll tell you what it is. If you guys haven't seen it, Audi, yep. So it's an Audi Q7, and it is supercharged 3.0 liter. The tensioners are going bad, and the idler pulleys are going bad to where the belt is no longer lining up. One of the belts are starting to get a groove in it, and because they're getting a groove in it, I'm not going to take the chance. This customer does do a lot of driving, usually about an hour away just to get to where they want to go. So it's advantageous for us to go after this, take it all apart, fix what's wrong, and get it put back together the right way. I'm going to cover all the mistakes that were made when they took it in for warranty, all the things that should have been spotted that weren't. We're going to look over everything on the car, and I'll give you guys a full layout of what's going on with this thing. The Wiener Watch was a race at the Indy 500 between 6 Oscar Mayer Wienermobiles. Yes, you heard me right. A race of 6 Oscar Mayer Wienermobiles at the Indianapolis 500. I believe that took place this past weekend. So Dodge Charger Daytonas are claiming tariffs, blaming that as the reason that they're not bringing more Dodge Challengers, the Dodge Charger Daytonas over to the U.S. The truth is we already know what's going on with the Daytonas, guys. We already know they're killing them. We already know that they're not going to be produced after next year. They're going to stop EV production on the Charger Daytonas. More than likely, the Charger is going to go back to a 4-door car. This is all being done because the CEO was replaced by the old CEO that ran it when it was underneath Fiat. He's bringing it back to where he's going to fix a lot of these problems that has been going on with the Dodge, Ram, and Jeep brand. As far as Chrysler goes, Chrysler only makes the minivan, and at this point, I don't know how much longer they're going to make that. So that's been slated for elimination for the last couple years. Jay says, nice, never seen a car on the more luxurious side in your garage. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. The GMC Jimmy, that's an SLT, so that does have the leather. That is the upgraded version. As far as the rest of my vehicles, most of them are all base models. You know, there's nothing really luxury about it. But yes, to see an Audi come into the garage, this is going to be a good one for you guys. This will be a good project. I'm looking forward to it. Jay says reasonable prices to vehicles under Dodge, Jeep, and Ram would be good. Yeah, I don't know how much the prices are going to get better. I just know that right now there is a shift in that company from the previous CEO that's now stepping in. He's switching things up. He's bringing things back. There's been talk of a new TRX that's going to have a Hellcat in it. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. Right now, they are saying that the V8 is going to make a reappearance in the Ram pickups 2026. So a lot of this isn't taking place until next year. But if the company can hold on and somehow get through this turbulent year, it sounds like they're going to come out with a whole new lineup for next year. And that lineup is really going to make a difference for the brand and be able to bring it back. But they got to do it right. They got to get rid of the EVs and focus more on performance like they had. If they don't focus on the performance, they're not going to get people back. And yeah, GM decides to double down on their EV course, and they're going to be pushing the EV Trail Boss for 2026. Again, I call them government motors for a reason, because they obviously push for more government controlled stuff. I want to get into a Cash for Clunkers video, but I really got to be careful about that video, guys. I've been going through enough strife on my channel trying to get my views up that I think a Cash for Clunkers video would probably hurt me quite a bit. So I'm going to hold back on that one just a little bit yet. But that would be a good one. Jay says, Scotty Killer said they concealed the Ram EV. Yeah, they've delayed a lot of EV projects, and this is all because of the newer ownership coming into this. And it really does make a difference as far as what their future plans are going to be for how it's all going to work for that company. If they do it wrong and they don't get enough going and enough drive going for it, what's going to happen is this is going to be a flash in the pan. They got to signal to their brand and their market that they're getting rid of the EVs altogether in order for them to have a chance to rebound this thing at all. If they don't do that, this is just going to be a big virtue signal that nobody's going to believe and nobody's going to buy. And it's just going to snowball out of control for them, and it's probably going to wind up killing the company. This merger between Stellantis and Fiat, basically, was one that allowed Fiat to get out of the higher cost of producing the Rams, the Jeeps, and the Dodges. So they wanted to go back to just making their base model cars and not worrying about the performance side of things. It was a major cost to do what they did just a few years ago. So this is going to be something that we're all going to be wanting to pay attention to, because it really could change how this company is going to operate for the future. Let's take a look at the news cycle here, see if there's anything else on this week's news. Again, this site is really good for EV stuff, and hybrid, not necessarily. I look at them because they help me kind of see what's going on in the market. They help me to kind of see which way the trends are going. It's not necessarily what views and beliefs I believe in, but it gives me an idea of what they're doing. All right, so we're getting back to last week's topics already. There was a bunch of stuff with the CRV and the Toyota RAV4s. So the Honda CRVs, as far as a Honda off-road focused CRV, again, these are kind of basic things that most people aren't really going to be too excited about. The only thing is that if somebody wants an off-road SUV, it might give them that option. Jay says, how do you tell a 5th gen Ram has or has not have a e-torque? Used and new or brand new. Okay, so the e-torque usually says it on the hood. The other way to tell is pop open that hood, and if it looks like there's a big square looking generator sitting right where the alternator would be, then it's an e-torque. That e-torque will be labeled on top of that e-torque motor. It'll say e-torque. So if you pop open the hood and you can't find an alternator, but you find a big square box, that is your alternator. It's also the e-torque system. The other way to tell is usually, like I said, usually there's a sticker on the hood or the fender that says e-torque. The other way is to pop open the hood. The other way is if you have access behind the back seat on a Ram pickup, that back seat would fold down and you would see the battery pack along with the computer for the e-torque. That's another way to tell because that's where those components are. They're behind the back seat against the back wall of the cab. So back seat behind the back seat. That's where they would be. So hopefully that answers your question on how to find the e-torque. Can you get rid of the e-torque? No, because it's hardwired into the main computer that runs the engine as well. So there's no way to eliminate it. There's no way to get rid of it. You're stuck with it. So if you buy one with e-torque, you're going to have to deal with the e-torque and you're going to have to deal with the cost. So hopefully that helps you with that, Jay. As far as the news cycle, guys, I kind of paged through most of this. And I don't see anything really super pressing that I would want to talk about. Maybe this one here, this one would involve people in California. So Congress sends bill to block California EV mandate, but it doesn't stop there. So I'm going to guess that this is, we're going to go ahead and click into this. I want to read this a little bit, guys. So California wants to eliminate combustion engine by 2035. If they do this, it's going to force everyone in California to have an EV. And if they have an EV, then they're just going to have to deal with it. Oh man, you live in California? Yeah. You might want to consider where you would want to go after 20. Let me see. Let me get this date right. 2035. 2035, they want everything EV. But Congress is sending a bill blocking the EV mandate. So if this is something we're going to want to pay attention to for the future, especially for you, Jay, if this block from Congress goes through, then they can't mandate at 2035. If it doesn't go through, California will be able to mandate that every vehicle on the road at that point has to be EV. Here's the problem with that. They're already having troubles getting taxed to fix their roads. So what's going to happen there? Meaning that they're going to turn around and add that fuel tax that you were paying at the pump. They're either going to put it on your tabs or they're going to make you pay that tax at the end of the year on your income taxes. So they're going to do it one of two ways. somehow they're going to get their money. They're also going to push for this green agenda that they're going after. I know I just pissed off the algorithm, but whatever. I might buy an electric pickup to replace the Silverado after 10 years. Yeah, I mean, that would be an option. But, you know, depending on what you got, for the most part, I hate to say it, you're going to be kind of stuck because they may not even let you tab or plate any gas vehicles. This is something we've seen in the semis that they did for commercial trucks. What they did was DEF or DEF fluid came into play in 2010. They gave it a 6-year window, but then after that, everything had to have the DEF. If it didn't, you weren't allowed to bring it in to California. They also did a 10-year limitation for the commercial motor vehicles, meaning the truck can't be older than 10 years. If it's older than 10 years, you can't plate it in California. This is what we're going to see. So if you even have classic cars or sports cars or stuff like that, you're not going to be able to plate them in that state. And this is how they're going to force people out of their combustion engines. So blocking this bill is really important because this puts a stamp on it and says you guys can't just force somebody to not comply with the EV mandates. But yeah, I would say if, depending on how many more years you got to drive, you may want to consider maybe a move to like Arizona or Nevada. Both would give you the option of not having these kind of mandates. Yeah, that really does, that does suck. That does suck. But it also, if this bill goes through blocking California mandatory EV, it also has the ability to change how they set environmental standards as well. So that's the other thing that's going on with this bill. This bill would also block them from doing other mandates based on the environment. So this would be a stop all, fix all for the forced EV, the forced government bill stuff, all of the environmental stuff. That being said, there's going to be pushback, especially from the California side. So it's going to be a lot harder to deal with. Jay asks, is Wisconsin a better option? Yes. They do not have forced EV. They probably will not force mandate EVs. They do have some political issues over in Wisconsin. They do kind of flip-flop back and forth between liberal and progressive ideas, so there is a little bit of that. So Wisconsin would be a little bit better of an option, especially for gas vehicles, if that's really what you're trying to focus on. Where I'm from, there is no emission laws, so I don't really got to worry about that. The only thing I got to worry about is very, very liberal government that I live under. So high taxes, all of this stuff. I mean, they put money in places I don't agree with. So that's one of those things where it's kind of a double-edged sword. You got to pick and choose, you know, what's good and what isn't. Some states are really good and they're not pressing on the environmental stuff, but at the same time, they maybe don't have the companies or the businesses to be able to get good paying jobs. No, I am not in Montana. I'm in Minnesota. So you now know how bad the political atmosphere is. Yeah. I come from the state of I can't breathe. And I'm so sick of that crap. I'm I'm only saying this is because we're 2 hours in now, so I can get away with it. Yeah, Minnesota, you're if you live anywhere near the Twin Cities, you're paying higher taxes. You're dealing with a very liberal government. You're dealing with all the crime that's going on there because they don't really support the police departments. If you live outside, like outside of the major areas, and you're in a small town, you don't feel it as much, but there is still that pressing higher tax on you. Yes, you make a little bit more money, but you're also taxed more. So there's that trade-off in this state. And if I had stuff paid off and I had a few options, I would be looking at maybe like Iowa. Yeah, I just noticed that my internet's lagging a bit here. So let me know if the reconnect is good for you guys. Give me ones if the stream is good. Give me ones if the stream is good. Yeah, yeah. So you're used to the small towns. That's a good thing. So I would say, yeah, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, all of them would be good options. Iowa, you could live closer to a bigger city, like Ames or Story City, somewhere that would be like a suburb of Des Moines. You could be closer that way, and you wouldn't really have too much to worry about on that side of things. But yeah, it's how much is the average cost of living? Average cost of living is you'd need to be making, I would say, close to about 60K a year. And a lot of the companies are paying on average 28 to, well, I'd say 26 to 30 is where most companies are paying. So you're in the ballpark. If you had a house that was paid off in California, you could probably sell that and still be able to buy a place here and not probably have a payment. Oh, first time home buying. Um, the housing market moves really fast in Minnesota. So you need to have a good realtor. I would get one before you would try to make a move. That way you could lock down a place before you actually moved. That would be the best way to do it. Also, because the market moves so quick, you're going to want to have a little bit of cash on hand so you can set something up in an escrow to lock it down if you found one that you like. The only problem is in order to actually finalize it, you're going to need to come and see it, all that good stuff. Homes in Minnesota, you need to watch out for floodplains. So staying out of any river bottom, anywhere that there's a major river, whether it's Minnesota or the Mississippi, you're going to want to avoid those river valleys. So stay out of those towns because there's usually a flooding issue. But yeah, pay attention to where the rivers and streams are because those tend to overflow. But yeah, Jay, that's the issue with what's going on in California. Hopefully this bill goes through and it blocks their plans because if it doesn't, it's not going to look good for people in California. They're going to be forced to only use EVs. That's it. You're not even, if you have a gas car that's even a collector, they're probably not going to let you plate it. That's how strict California is getting. And it's honestly not going to help them. All it's going to do is push more people out of California. The problem is when you move out of California, the people that are moving out need to understand that if you vote for people that are very progressive or left leaning, you're just bringing the problem to where you're living now. So that's the biggest thing. Minnesota is I would say just as left leaning as California, but we don't have emissions here. Yeah, California ruined cars, no doubt about it. They could have had one of the greatest car cultures ever and still could, but they don't because they just don't want to do what's right. So, all right. Well, I'm noticing that the stream is getting on. I keep fluctuating low views, and it is what it is, but we got through today's project. Today's project was getting the bumper on our Malibu LT. The bumper went on really well. So, yes, there is some fitment issues that I got to deal with, but I'm not going to really do much with that. Jay says, I know a dude who lives in Lyman, South Carolina. South Carolina, I had a friend that came from there. He actually moved back to Minnesota. So, I mean, it is what it is. It's a southern state. You don't have to deal with the snow and the cold, but at the same time, their political atmosphere goes up and down, but I don't think they have anything with emissions. So I think you'd be good there, especially from a car culture kind of guy. So definitely do your homework, figure out where the best places for housing and jobs are. Anyone who's planning a move out of state, you always have to think about what you're going to do for work and a career. You know, whether you make money online or whether you have those kind of jobs, you do have to plan that out a little bit. So as you plan it out, you can decide what's your best course of action. But that would be my plan, is definitely do your homework on what you're going to do there before you make any moves. But you do have some time before California is going to force everyone into the mandate. But at the same time, if this bill doesn't get blocked, they're going to be allowed to do what they want. I may try working at Costco. There's a mechanic there. Yeah, if you've got connections to get into jobs that pay well, that's a good thing, especially anyone trying to make a move. Yeah, I think if I'm understanding right, I think Costco is more or less, if you work there, you're just working kind of in a tire shop, are you not? I don't know if they have a full service. I think they're more of a tire shop. Yeah. California is just a money hungry state. Like I said, they could have had many great things, but they chose to screw it up. And they screwed it up because they wanted to chase very liberal, progressive ideas that in the end, nobody's going to want. And everyone's going to move away from there. If they force everyone to have EVs, the only people that are going to live there are Hollywood people. And the only reason they're going to live there is because of Hollywood. And the rest of it is just going to go downhill. Yeah, they messed up when it mattered the most, and now it's almost too late. People are bailing from there. You know, the other issue is I heard the state of Wisconsin wants, or not Wisconsin, the state of Washington wants to charge people a tax to leave. So hopefully we'll see if that has an impact on things. That could very well push more people towards not wanting to live in places like that because they'll never be able to get out and they'll feel trapped. So again, bad idea in my mind. It's not even good for our Constitution, because even if you read our Constitution, that they can't do that. But they're doing it because nobody's questioning them. Nobody's pushing back against the government on that. So we're just going to have to wait and see. give chats a little bit time to catch up and finish up what you guys want to chat in. And then I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this stream. I'm just grabbing some tools here to put away while we wait. So last minute questions, guys, and then we're going to wrap up the stream. Lakeville it's okay. You don't really have as much crime because you're not in the major metropolitan area. Cost of living is a little higher because you are in a suburb of the Twin Cities. So you do have that going on. But it's not horrible as far as a place that you could choose to live. Again, you do have to kind of watch the areas that you're in. If you look up some of the stuff online, you can look at the crime rate for the state, and it'll give you kind of current crime rates and stuff like that. Just try to stay out of the more nasty areas. Definitely nothing in Minneapolis, St. Paul at all. There's people moving out of the major metropolitan area like crazy. If that's all you got, Jay, I'm going to probably go ahead and wrap this one up here. We've reached the 2-hour mark, so I think we had a really good stream. We got a lot done today. As you guys can see, if you guys are watching on replay, we got the bumper on our Malibu finally. This thing is together in one piece. New tires, new shocks, new brakes, a bunch of motor stuff done. This thing is ready to rock and roll. I'll be putting my plates on it this afternoon and driving this probably all next week. Jay says, I'm looking forward to housing in another state. And he also asks, they are building too much headquarters in Illinois. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that either. Illinois has way too much corruption. I would never go there just because of the fact of all the issues that have gone on in that state. Chicago is an absolute dumpster fire. It's a bad place. I mean, that state just has so many failed policies that it's not even funny. Like I said, as far as the ones that are more understanding in the Midwest, I would say, Illinois is not one of them. It would be more of Wisconsin, Iowa, rural parts of Minnesota, North, South Dakota, Nebraska a little bit. Nebraska has their own problems though, so. Again, that all comes down to whether or not you want to be in snow. No, Illinois is not it. Definitely not. All right, so I know it's just you and me in here, Jay, but I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up today, guys. Thank you guys for tuning into the stream. If you guys are catching this on replay, make sure you guys hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, ring the notification bell so you get notified when I go live, which is now every Sunday at 1 p.m. Central. I'm going to work on setting a few things up differently for next year. Or for next stream, and we're going to see if we can do a much better stream for you guys. So, new topics coming. We got a new project coming. Don't miss out the project. This project is going to be a good one, guys. I'll show you guys everything that happened with it and why you want to be careful when you take things to a repair shop. Again, I'll see you guys on the next one.